Well, welcome, cutie.
Oh, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. We're on the Ronnie Records Show.
We are. We are.
We're probably on episode 55 or something like that. We've done a lot. I hope you folks out there pull up the Ronnie Records Show on TV or your computer or whatever and
Phone,
check all the episodes out. You're certainly to find one of your interests, I'm sure. So today, Karen came up with a great idea. She said, well, what about doing an episode on female rockers?
Which I don't know a lot about, but that thought just popped into my head like a lot of other weird thoughts. But
Well, first of all, I thought, well, so what? There's a lot of female rockers, but the answer is no, there's not. And it gets back to some of my definition of rock. I know,
Right.
rock and
Which we
roll,
kind of
rock.
differ on.
This is Ron's version. In fact, I looked at one of my CDs that was Women of Rock. I think there were maybe out of 40 songs, or about 3 that I would think, maybe that's rock. And I'm not talking about rock and roll so much. I'm talking about rock being an attitude, sound.
I'm just going to, kind of tell you the list. The one person I thought that would have been at the top of the list, he does not have. And you know who that would have been? That would have been
Janis Joplin.
Janis Joplin, right. And who's the other one?
I don't remember the other one.
Tina Turner.
No, and the reason I
Yes.
said that because
those two aren't on there.
I tighten up the version of rock, okay? Janis Joplin was a shouter. She had that voice, that attitude, but she was really a blues singer, and maybe some folky, blues, hippie music, Grateful Dead kind of stuff, kind of jammed in there, but I can't call it rock. Now, I know you do, but so you're right. And Tina Turner was, pretty good, but more soul kind of music. So I'm strictly, and maybe you argue with me. I know Karen does, but I really, and then I went to another series, which was a beautiful box set. It was called Respect, put out by Rhino, and they talked a lot about women not being representative in music enough from the beginning, and I kind of went along with it, but not all of it. But I think hopefully by the end of this episode, you'll maybe understand what I call female rockers. Is rock, and we're going to start out
Let's
with
get this thing going.
This lady right here is Gail Storm, and you oldsters remember the Gail Storm show and would understand why I had a big crush on Gail Storm. Very cute lady, and what she did on the Dot label and maybe some other label, but primarily Dot label, which was pretty big in the 50s, she covered a lot of songs. Didn't do a lot of originals. But I tell you, she covered them very respectfully.
But I just have some notes here that 6 of her songs were top 10 hits.
Yeah. Oh, she was popular.
She was popular. Plus, she was a little actress as well. She was in My Little Margie.
That was the big TV show.
Yeah. And the Gail Storm show, she had her own program.
Yeah. So
I don't remember either one of those two.
Being the youngster.
The young person that I am.
But they were very big shows in the 50s, maybe early 60s. And I'm sure that's how she got the name out there and people picked up her records. But her songs were very close to the original and just were honored and respect the original song. This first one is I Hear You Knocking. I know it's not a real rockin' song, but it's very true to the New Orleans beat, that sound like Smiley Lewis did originally on the original hit.
Okay,
So
let's play some.
okay, this will be Gail Storm's version.
Right. See, I would think this would fall more in the category of blues, but
It's more R&B from
There you go.
New Orleans.
yeah. So I guess I just have a different perception of what rock is. It's loud and it's hard and it's moving and
I bent a little bit here. I know I did, Karen. because she also did Why Do Fools Fall in Love, a big hit for Frankie Lyman. And she did beautiful, it was like note for note, very respectful versions. I had to include her.
Well, she's got a very pretty voice, yeah.
So,
I know this song, and she's quite a bit older, was quite a bit older than I am.
yeah. And so the next song, called Mr. Lee by the Bobettes. Another 50s song.
And then the Bobettes, they had top 10 hits, including Mr. Lee.
Right, Mr. Lee.
Yep. And they initially started in 1955 to 1974, so they had a long run, I personally don't know them, and I'm reading my notes, guys. But I don't know that I know any of her songs, but maybe if I hear them, clue to change.
All right. Anyway, here's the Bobettes singing Mr. Lee.
See, I know this song. Could I ever tell you? Excuse me, she sang it? No. Would I consider this wrong? Not yet.
So this is an early rock and roll song. One of the very few female groups of the 50s that sang that rock and roll beat. Mr. Lee was the principal of their high school, so they're making fun of him or whatever. But they made a whole song about the principal of their high school, Mr. Lee.
And see, even the bio on them, they said that they R&B and soul. It doesn't say rock.
I call this rock and roll because it's faithful to the 50s rock and roll.
You said earlier this is not going to be rock and roll. This is going to be rock.
Well, okay. You try to catch me. You try to trip me up here.
All right, next.
The next one is rock.
Okay.
And this lady...
It's a little different than rock. It's rockabilly, so play it. And I'll tell you, are we going to her, Wanda?
We're going to go to Wanda Jackson.
Wanda Jackson is also known as the Queen of Rockabilly.
All right, the Queen of Rockabilly. I call this rock and roll. I call this Let's Have a Party.
She started out with rock, country, and gospel. See, hear that in her voice? If that isn't the same thing as Janis Joplin, now give me a break.
Yeah, it's the beat, Karen. It's the beat. You want to get up and dance to this kind of stuff. The difference between rock and roll is rock and roll, you want to get up and dance. Rock could be just listening to a lot of...
Maybe it was how much Jack Daniels they drank.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if Wanda drank or not. That was just a side comment.
But listen, this is 1960. This is one of the very few rocking kind of sound from a female in this era. Now, there were a lot of soft, what you might want to call soft rockers of the era. Connie Francis and Connie Stevens and all those folks, and there was a lot of them. You know, Leslie Gore, let's have a part,
Okay, let me just say that she was also the first woman to have a career in rock and roll recording a series in 1950 singles.
Who are you talking about?
Wanda.
Oh, Wanda Jackson?
Yeah. Okay.
But listen, that's a rockin' song.
Right.
I think you have to agree with that, Karen.
There you go.
All right, the next era in the 60s, we have Lil Eva with Locomotion.
Yeah. Little Eva.
I'm sorry, I'm wrong. No, I was not looking at my list. This is Claudine Clark and Party Lights.
Yeah, right. I'm going to say that's not.
Okay, early 60s. That period between 61 and 63 before the Beatles. This is when she came out with Party Lights.
1962,
Right.
Party Lights, which reached number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 back then.
Yeah. So way up there in the top 10.
And it also says she's an American R&B musician, known for a singer and composing of the 1962. Didn't say rock.
This is a big hit. I don't know about any other hits, but this is rock. Okay, she's blasting it out, and she's talking about the party, just like Wanda Jackson talked about. Let's have a party. So the next one is The Locomotion by Little Eva, and Karen's going to tell you about it. I'm kind of thinking she was Sonny and Cher's babysitter, but your research might say different.
You know, I don't know that. I don't know that. She had cancer for a very long time.
She had cancer? Okay.
She fought it for a very long time. She was working as a babysitter for songwriters Carole King, Jerry Goffin.
Oh, okay.
When they asked to record songs that they had written, The Locomotion, when they asked her to record a song.
Carole King, big
yeah.
song,
Yeah.
huge songwriter out of the Brill Building in New York.
Yeah.
So the babysitter, they tried her out on a big hit
And it worked.
for
Yeah.
Carole King and her partner.
Yeah. She also had Grand Funk Railroad.
No, Grand Funk Railroad recorded this song, not Little Eva. They
Oh,
redid
got
it,
it.
and I
Okay.
thought it was a crappy version of this great song.
It was also Keep Your Hands Off My Baby, Oh Smoky Locomotion.
Anyway,
Yeah.
this is her big song.
Yeah. It
Little
is.
Eva doing The Locomotion.
Yeah.
So the next one, of course, you're going to say it's R&B, and I could not leave this out. I could not leave this song out. I couldn't do it.
And
This is one of my favorite songs by
Linda Ronstadt.
Aretha Franklin.
Aretha Franklin. Oh, where are we in my notes? A little.
Yeah, it was Aretha Franklin doing Respect, Ari,
Yes.
SBCT.
I don't have anything on her.
All right, well,
But
we
I
talked
do-
about her last time when we
Right.
talked about Muscle Shoals. She
But
was
she's also
found her groove there
the
in
queen
Muscle Shoals.
of,
R&B or
R&B,
whatever you
yeah.
want to say, or soul. No, they call her the
the
Queen of Soul.
That's right.
I call this a rock and roll song. No,
Yeah.
a rock song
Yeah. Yep.
because it
And
does
this
have
has
a
gotta be-
pounding beat. That makes me think it's rock.
So this has got to be early '60s, mid '60s.
Mid 60s, I think,
Really?
maybe even a little later.
Okay.
She was great. We all know Aretha
Yeah.
Franklin, but
Still do.
I'm glad I included her.
Yeah.
The next person is Bonnie Raitt. Her father was a big band leader. She sang a lot of blues. In this case, she did a remake of a song by Del Shannon, the 50s guy. And that, you might say, is not exactly, certainly not rock, more rock and roll. It didn't have a big attitude, but I included anyway. It's her version and a hit version, Runaway.
Runaway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Originally done by Del Shannon.
She was also Jet is best known for her work as the front woman of her band, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Well, I wouldn't think that
Yeah.
Bonnie Raitt would be heading the Joan Jett band, but if you want to say that, this is Bonnie Raitt, sweetheart.
All right,
singing
well, I'll come
Runaway.
back to her. I guess I
See,
don't have anything about
She
Ray.
never listens to me. I'm saying this is Bonnie Raitt singing Runaway.
All right, I don't. No wonder I couldn't find it. I don't have anything on her.
Well, good. Let's just listen to Bonnie Raitt's version.
Yeah, we're gonna listen all morning long. You can't. You need to play the next one so I can talk.
So you
Which
can talk.
recorder is it?
You get your hands to your keep. As the song say, keep your hands to yourself.
Play.
Runaway, originally done by Del Shannon, big hit. This is Bonnie Raitt's version. Karen wants to move
Yeah.
right along here. This is Linda Ronstadt doing a remake of a 50s song.
Okay. Yeah. So I have a little bit of personal knowledge about her. What was the name of the lake?
Lake Tulloch.
Lake Tulloch. That back in the 70s, probably the late 70s, we were up at Lake Tulloch and we saw this helicopter come in and land on its pad. Well, we found out that was Linda Ronstadt. And she was there to meet a famous governor. Yeah, I never saw the governor, but I did see her.
You were talking about Jerry Brown.
I was.
Okay.
I didn't want to
Everybody
spread
knew-
news.
Everybody knew that Jerry Brown's girlfriend was Linda Ronstadt.
Yes. And she earned 11 Grammy Awards, 3 American Music, and 2 Academy of Country Music.
She was big. I picked this song because it's a remake of a Chuck Berry song.
Yeah.
And it's got all that old rock and roll sound. Right? You can almost see Chuck Berry doing
Okay, no.
his duck walk, right?
All right.
Linda Ronstadt, Back in the USA, Chuck Berry song.
Okay. Who do we
Next
have
one is one of my favorites of all times. I like her for her reggae music, but this was, it squeaks in, because we know we're 50s through 70s. This is like 1979. This is Deborah Harry, or known as Blondie, One Way or Another.
All right. See,
I call
Blondie,
this
I
rock.
think is rock.
I call
do
this
think-
rock.
Yeah, I would too. She was the lead vocalist for Blondie.
She was
4 of her
Blondie.
songs reached the #1 in the U.S. charts between 79 and 81.
I liked her music. Like I said, I always thought of it more as a reggae sound. This
I would
one,
call her rock.
this one is rock,
Yeah.
right? I could see her, as Blondie on this group.
Yeah.
I liked her music a lot. So that's Blondie, One Way or Another. The next song is obviously fits our agenda, right, Karen? You
Heart?
did.
Heart? Curly.
Well, I like to say it was hard, but it's not. It's I Love Rock and Roll. Get Joan Jett.
Oh, that's what I was talking about earlier. This is rock. See, that's a totally different beat in the background. I think that is rock.
This is rock. A lot of the other sound we played today was rock,
And
but in the rock and roll
Right.
kind of sound.
And she was the front woman for her band called Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. I don't think I ever heard that.
You have when you hear a Joan Jett song.
Well, I
that's
just
her
don't know.
group.
And also, what's this Cherry Bomb? Another one of her. It was another one of
This
her
is
hits.
probably one of the ones
Yeah.
I know. This is what I really call pure rock. I don't feel like getting up and dancing to this, but it's got that attitude. It's got that voice.
It does.
She's shouting. It's a
And
shout.
Everybody sings along with her. I love rock.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a great, that's a hook, right? I love rock. It's not rock and roll. It's rock.
It is.
That's how pure. I know I'm too much of a purist. Not, even though she says I love rock and roll.
Yeah.
She,
All right. Heart.
Heart. Now, Heart, this is one of their big rock songs,
I like Heart.
right? I do too.
Yeah. The band was formed in 1973 in Army Hocus Pocus and White Heart.
I don't know
What
what
is
Karen's
this?
talking about. This is Barracuda.
Barracuda, yeah. This is
It's
definitely rock.
one of their kind of wilder songs.
Yeah,
But this is definitely rock.
absolutely.
Again, to me, it's not different. A lot of songs rock and roll is you don't feel like getting up and dancing. This is just,
Yeah.
you might sit there and do this. I don't know. Maybe some people get up and dance.
All right.
We're going to go to our last
Last
one. Another first rocker. And again, these are just squeaking into the 70s. They're probably bigger known in the 80s. I picked their songs that were actually made in 1979. Here's Pat Benatar. Another rocker, right?
This is a rock. Yeah, this one is
Right?
Yeah.
That's got that same kind of song. Heartbreaker by Pat Benatar.
Same
Right.
thing I
That's
would
rock.
hear with Janis Joplin
I know.
and
You're
Tina
not.
Turner. I'm just going, they all have that rock sound.
She almost qualifies, but not to me. Or bluesy. But this is pure rock. I mean, Janis Joplin, me, Bobby McGee, that's kind of a folk song, so I'm sorry.
Anyway, we're going to call it for a day. We love you. I love you.
I love you. And I hope you loved the episode today. You might disagree with me with my tight
You
definition.
might agree with me.
But I agree with Karen. Female rockers.
Yes, thank you very much.
Let's rock out, Karen.
We'll see you-
Subscribe to the Roddy Record Show.
We'll see you next time. Thank you.